finally get underway in this session. We do have the first snatch of the session, the men's 69-kilogram Bs coming up. It will be Sempereza of Uganda, opening at 108 kilograms.
Really, really always very impressed at the representation weightlifting has internationally. All the different countries. Just makes me really happy as a competitor to take part in that.
Pretty good looking opener.
Pretty solid, Getting the jitters out, you know. He's going to come out and absolutely smash with authority that second attempt.
Now, I couldn't find too much. We do, let's check out the replay here. You'll see, and while we're watching that, we tend to do pretty in-depth research for these sessions beforehand to see what the lifters have done before, check out their competition history. Didn't find too much on Sempereza of Uganda. The heaviest I'd seen him go, we've seen him go in international competition previously that we know of, was 100 kilograms at the 2015 African Junior Championship. So with that, that's the heaviest we've seen him go on the international stage.
Excellent. Well, that's a solid opener, and I like the replay a lot. He's got a really wide grip on that barbell. You know, the long arms, but the guys with the long arms and long legs often can be quite good at the snatch if they get their levers working properly.
A little tougher on the jerk if you've got those long arms.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see the different techniques that are employed to get around some of these different body types that we have, that we're seeing. But yeah, the opening attempts are usually, well, for me anyway, and a lot of athletes, they come out on the stage. It's about sort of getting oriented, looking up when you lift. You got to make, you got to find your horizon line or wherever you look. So it could be disorienting. To come out there for the first attempt. So sometimes it's about getting the jitters out and just falling into the groove.
You know, especially in an international competition like this where lifters are up on a stage, they're in a large competition hall, it might be very different than what they're used to lifting locally, regionally, or even nationally, where the platform might be on the floor. They might be able to kind of look out at the top of someone's head in the audience to kind of orient themselves.
Correct.
They're at a different elevation. It takes some getting used to.
Right, and there's a lot of lights in your face. You're looking out into the audience. You're not seeing individuals, and it's sort of like an abyss in a giant hall like this. So let's see how he does this second attempt.
He's gone up 3 kilograms, falling himself. Looks like he will probably be taking all 3 of his openers before we see another lifter take the stage. So let's see how he can do on his second attempt here. He looked a little tentative on his first.
He did. I think he was just, like I said, just kind of feeling it out. And that barbell, when you get on the stage and you're standing in front of everybody, that weight feels different. You know, oftentimes it feels lighter.
One would hope.
One would hope. Good, nice pull, nice aggressive pull, a little bit more speed coming from the hips, and yeah, better than the first one, I agree.
we have a really good vantage point to hear his coaches. Let's check out the replay here. He did make a correction. He kind of rocked back in that snatch, a little bit on his heels, which you might see right there. Yeah, you can see the toes come up, but
just a bit. He was able to hang on to it. Sometimes you got to sit in the bottom, just kind of break that inertia, get the barbell back into the slot, flat feet, and then recover.
So he will be following himself. We do have another 2-minute clock, which gives us a little time to talk about something else. And I'm actually thrilled that we have this opportunity to pick Cheryl's brain. It's not often that I get to it's not often that I get to talk with a multi-time Olympian, and being able to do so on the stream, it gives you a perspective on weightlifting. You know, as I knew it, and as a lot of the viewers at home know it, is fun from the amateur perspective. We do compete, we love competing, but it almost becomes a different sport on the international stage. The timing is different. The strategy is different. There are a lot more layers of strategy. The role of the coach evolves a lot.
So important, and I was very, very fortunate to work with some amazing coaches in my history of USA weightlifting, where as an athlete, I can't tell you how important it is for this gentleman basically to sit down, clear his mind, and not worry about what's on the bar, and having absolute trust in your coach that he or she has made the correct call with the weight, and so that you can focus exclusively on picking that weight up and just making your lifts. I would get a bit irritated if a coach was like, oh, well, what do you want to do next? Hey, no, don't ask me what I want to do next. What do I need to do next?
My job is to go lift the weight.
Yeah, you figure that out. You put it on the bar, and I'll go out there and I'll give it my 100% all.
Well,
and super important, super important.
Speaking of that, we do have Perez coming out for his third final attempt in the snatch. 114 kilograms on the bar. He's looked progressively better so far in his attempts. So,
do we know what his PRs are, David?
Well, like I said, the most we've seen him do in international competition that we could find was 100 kilograms 2 years ago as a junior. So no longer a junior. I believe this is his first Worlds, though. So everything we're seeing,
right,
technically a Worlds PR.
Oh, just a little behind him that time. Wasn't able to pull it back, but good attempt. He's gonna make that next time. He's smiling. That indicates to me that he maybe never even attempted that weight before, and sort of a little surprised at how easy it felt. So he's gonna go back to training, and he's gonna manhandle that.
Well, I mean, you know, if his first World's going 2 for 3 in the snatch, having to open the session and also follow yourself, kind of gives it an added challenge. So, you know, I'm sure he and his coaches are probably pretty happy with that performance so far on the day.
Yeah, because there's no guarantees. I mean, you work with an athlete, and you go to a competition, and sometimes it's completely different. You know, so the ability to compete well is obviously a really, really important attribute to have.
All right, well, his countryman will be the next lifter. Charles Sekaya, also of Uganda, opening at 117. Looks like today they're getting some coaching help from a few noted American coaches, which I'll mention after this lift. Great speed.
So fast. So fast. Not quite technically as proficient as his teammate, but you can tell by that speed and that power that just absolutely just raw power and strength that this guy has. Just throwing that around like it's no weight on the bar. And I'm continually impressed, David. This is the lighter weight class, especially from a super heavyweights perspective, because I get to weigh whatever I want to weigh. So watching these men and women who are of the lighter body weights lift 2 and almost 3 times their body weight is absolutely fascinating to me. I mean, I know the supers, we lift the most, but the idea of doing a double body weight clean and jerk or snatch or anything of the like just is, I can't wrap my head around it. And I was a weightlifter. Like, I understand how it works and everything, but it's just never not impressive to me.
You know, yesterday we saw maybe some of the added challenge of these lifters in the lighter bodyweight categories, especially having to go through weight cuts. We saw yesterday in the men's 56 kilogram A session, a lot of missed lifts, a few bomb outs, and you have to think, A, it's tough being in the first A session of a competition because the crowd kind of fills in, the lights are bright, pardon me, but a lot of these lifters have had to cut a significant amount of body weight.
Correct.
And that creates a lot of variance in how you feel. You know, if you don't have to cut body weight, your diet and nutrition and hydration leading up to a competition can be kind of consistent as you would normally train. But if you have to cut those few kilos, things change. You feel different. The weight feels different.
Absolutely, absolutely. And weightlifters are pretty true to their weight classes, so it's very unlike wrestling and boxing and some other weight class sports where they will weigh in 24 hours prior and literally be 10, 15 kilos difference from the weigh-in to when they compete, where weightlifting, we weigh in about 2 hours prior to the competition. So you can't really cut dramatic amounts of weight, not if you want to stay consistent. The snatch is a lift during which you can get away with the cutting of the weight. The clean and jerk, that's when it really shows. You can really see if somebody struggled to make their weight class, because the legs, the power in the legs completely disappears.
Right. The snatch, obviously, the more technically demanding lift.
Yeah, so as long as you adhere to your technique, because relative to the pulling and the squatting and the clean and jerking, the snatch weight is not heavy. It's just if you can adhere to your technique, be fast, you usually can get away with a lot.
All right. Sakaya, second attempt, 122. 5 kilo jump, which is a pretty healthy jump here on the international stage.
It is. It is. Must feel confident with this weight, based on the first one.
Loses it behind. We'll check it out on the replay. I wonder if he might have looped that a little coming off the hips or something.
Yeah.
I know he's getting some coaching help today by Kevin Doherty of Team USA, so I'm sure he's going to get some pointers from his coach, come out and attempt to make that correction.
Get a little bit of encouragement. Could be something that he does routinely in the gym. Everybody, each lifter, even at this high level, they're gonna have some something that is unique to them that they have to continually remind themselves about, and yeah, and just not forget to be technically proficient. I mean, that's what it's all about. You really keep one thing in your mind. It's really hard to think about too many things. Your mind literally will go blank. But I always had, if I could keep my hips down, keep the bar close to me, I was usually pretty good to go. And those are my cues.
Folks, what we're seeing right now is we are seeing these first two lifters following themselves in all their lifts, and that puts 2 minutes on the clock. A little later on in the session, we're going to see the pace pick up a bit, because what's going to happen is you're going to have lifters who are not necessarily following themselves. It's just a 1 minute clock between lifters in. So it seems like things are moving maybe a tiny bit slow right now. That's okay. It will pick up a little bit. Not a huge session. Just 9 lifters. When we commentate on national session, we'll see up to 15, 16 lifters in a session.
Yeah, gets quite busy.
That gets quite busy. Yeah. Come on. All right, third and final attempt here. Sticking at 122, which I think is probably the right call here.
Yeah, of course, of course. You just got to remind himself not to get too excited. Take his time from the floor. You know what, I think perhaps what that looks like, the first one he lost it behind him. Of course, he lost this behind him as well, but it looked to me that he was a bit less aggressive on that second pull as a result of that second miss. So he was not as aggressive as he needed to be.
Well, he is on the board. He will be credited with his opener at 117, so you do want to see a lifter come out. This is like his teammate, this is his first World Championships, so great to see him come out. Definitely have a chance at a total, and with that, it'll bring up Herrera of Ecuador, opening at 124.
I competed with a particular one. A little bit rushing there, a little bit rushing there, a little bit forward.
And I want to say that we know this is certainly in Herrera's wheelhouse. At the Pan American Games last year, which was prior to the 2016 Rio Olympics, we saw him snatch 130 kilograms in this bodyweight category. So a weight range right now he's used to. I think that one, just a little bit out in front of him.
Yeah.
The placement, the strength, the speed, it's there.
Right.
Just has to come out and actually, nail that in the right position.
And sometimes it will feel so good that the rhythm gets a little bit messed up. So you're pulling from the floor, you're excited to be here, you got that little adrenaline boost from standing out there on that stage with all those eyeballs and cameras on you. And you move quickly. Sometimes you move more quickly than you think, and you really lose that time in getting into the hip. So I think maybe that's what he did here. You can tell he's a bit frustrated with himself because it's clearly lightweight for him.
Certainly.
And the 2 minute clock can be, nerve-rattling too, because he literally wants to just get up and go out there and try it again. But you also have to allow yourself to take those 2 minutes. And the clean and jerk, I always, if I had a 2-minute clock, I'd always want a little bit more time. But in the snatch, the building we're in right now is quite cool. So you feel like you just want to keep moving. But you have to be patient, kind of just let it digest, give yourself a little pep talk, and you know, use the time you have on the stage too. No need to rush up to the bar, just grab it and go.
All right, second attempt for Herrera, 124. Needs to make this.
Much better. Still a bit forward, but much better attempt.
We could see on the replay, he drops that barbell, kind of shaking his head like, why didn't I do that the first time? And we have seen quite a few lifters this weekend with that expression after a successful second attempt after missing their first. Clearly not a weight that challenges him that much.
Right. And it's really, and coming from somebody who has missed many opening attempts, well, I wouldn't say many, but I definitely had my share in there. It's so important strategically, especially if you start getting into going back and forth and medal contention and really fighting for certain spots on the podium. You gotta lock in that opener. It's critical.
All right, this will bring up Tirones of Peru, his opener at 125, which is the heaviest we've seen him do in international competition. Actually, it was somebody that 2 years ago.
Training's been going well.
Yeah. All right, I wouldn't say that looked easy, but he is on the board. Tirones is one of 2 junior lifters that we have in this session. Birth year of 1998, so still another year of junior eligibility. And opening
makes me feel a little bit old, you know? Just a little bit.
You and me both. Okay, see the replay there. And you know, that is the heaviest we've ever seen him go internationally. So opening on an international competition PR, you know, we haven't seen him compete internationally for about 2 years, at least not that I was able to find. So that is a good sign that training is going in the right direction.
Right. And psychologically, weightlifting is a sport that is a large part of it is simply believing that you can do something. And maintaining that confidence throughout the competition and throughout training, really. If ever there was a time where I would approach the bar and that little voice in the back of my head is saying, you know, you don't want to do this. You know, every once in a while, I could talk myself back into, yes, you have this, let's do it. And I'm talking that short amount of time that it takes to chalk up and walk to the bar. I'm having these conversations with myself. But it's really hard psychologically to climb back out of that hole. So you got to maintain your confidence. You have to continually talk to yourself, tell yourself you can do it.
All right, Herrera's third and final attempt, 128. Lifter out of Ecuador.
Ooh, hold.
Really used all that platform, but he'll get it.
You know what? I don't recommend that. Particularly in the snatch with that wide grip running forward with that bar. It did not work out for me in 2003. I actually managed to blow my elbow out doing that sort of thing. So it always makes me a bit nervous when I see this. And it was actually about 1 kilo more than that. So I have flashbacks when somebody's snatching 130 kilos and they're running forward like that. But that was a good attempt, and he'll clearly go up.
Oh, that was actually that was his last attempt, actually, so he'll be credited with 128. Yeah. We'll see him back out for the clean and jerks a little bit later. This will be Tirones of Peru. 129 on the barbell. This would be an international comp PR for him. Looked even better than his first
pretty
attempt.
Pretty solid. Gotta be happy with that.
Well, he has one more attempt left, 2 for 2 so far. Always a good place to be in. Let's check out the replay here. Straight up, straight down. Doesn't have to chase it forward.
Right.
All right, and with that, we will bring out the opening attempt for Peter Petrov of the Czech Republic. Now, Petrov is a lifter who to say he is a veteran on the international stage would be a bit of an understatement. We actually have him. Oh, no, sorry, we do have a change. My apologies. The lift will become, I'll do Halib of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, opening at 131 kilograms. So we will see Petrov either right after this or a few lifters later.
Yeah, a lot of jostling around in these competitions. You see the next 5 lifters have very, very similar weights, opening weights in the snatch. So I imagine a lot of lifters are going to be called and then sat back down, and the numbers are going to bump.
Good-looking opener for the lifter from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We have seen him go as heavy as 137 kilograms in competition, which he did earlier this year, actually just back in September at, I believe it was the Asian Indoors in Ashgabat, Turkmenistan.
The World Championships next year are in Turkmenistan, I understand.
That's correct. That was recently announced by the International Weightlifting Federation. I believe they'll also be in Ashgabat. You know, we have. I was talking to USA Weightlifting CEO Phil Andrews yesterday, asked if he was disappointed they weren't going for the three-peat of having 3 in a row in the U.S. He kind of laughed and said, I need a break. No, but next year it'll be...
Oh, man, these USA Weightlifting and Phil and these guys running around, and what an incredible effort it is to put on an event like this, and I have to commend everybody doing such an amazing job.
All right, lifters Jiram of Thailand.
Just a little overpull on that. Again, super, super easy. Bars flying up in the air. Just got to rein in those jitters. And it really is about that on the opening attempt. Sometimes I almost dismiss the opening attempt miss for the simple fact that I know how these people are feeling right now. So the second attempt, he's going to come out here and settle in.
He's the only youth lifter we have in this session actually, birth year of 2000. Does have some experience on the international stage, but the heaviest we've ever seen him snatch is 127 kilograms, which he did a little bit earlier this year at a competition in Kathmandu, Nepal. So, you know, with these youth lifters, you will see them open with PRs in international competition.
Right.
They're still getting those youth gains from competition to competition.
Right. He's still growing. You know, he's still growing. I mean, a lot of these youth lifters will be in heavier weight classes too from year to year. Just the development and getting the musculature and everything like that. Yeah, and it's really fun to watch their development too as athletes and watch them sort of become who they are.
All right, well, he will be going up, it seems, by at least a kilogram, which means the lifter will become Castro of Spain. And Castro is a lifter we have seen on the international stage dating back to 2008. This is not his first World Championships. He has competed in 2015 at the Houston World Championships, in 2014 at the World Championships in Almaty, Kazakhstan. So certainly a lifter with a lot of relevant experience on the international stage.
Yeah, it makes a difference. Makes a difference. For example, a lifter who has not competed often at this level misses an opening attempt. It could be all downhill from there. A lifter who goes, oh, it's okay, you know, just getting a little nervous, gonna go back out there and do my thing. So it matters. It matters. You got to learn yourself too in the process. Super easy.
Super easy looking opener. Now, his best ever performance on the international stage was at the 2014 World Championships in Almaty. He snatched 140 kilograms, clean and jerked 163 kilograms, was 6 for 6 on the day there.
Wow. Wow. So he knows how to compete. Yeah. Confident guy. Good.
Had a pretty good European Championships earlier this year in Split, Croatia. Had a 300 kilo total there, 138 and 162 on a 5 for 6 performance. So pretty good year competing so far. I'm sure he's hoping to keep that momentum going.
Right, right. Again, it's about confidence and momentum. That makes a difference leading into a competition like this.
lift for Peter Petrov of the Czech Republic, a lifter who is known for being a bit more proficient in the clean and jerk than on the snatch. It kind of tends to be where he makes up a lot of ground in competitions.
Right, right. And the truly good, successful, now on that replay, it looks like sometimes I can tell if my athletes are going to be successful before they even get to their knees. On that one, he looked like he just got a little bit forward and didn't wait on that first pull to set up the second pull. So he's got to be a little bit more patient on the first pull so that he can be successful on his next attempt.
All right, let's bring back up Jiram of Thailand, 132 kilograms on the barbell. He went up a kilo to give himself a little more rest after missing his first attempt. Youth lifter. Well, missed his first one behind, missed his second one in front.
That is classic, absolutely classic. I see it dozens and dozens of times. The overpull, the excitement on the first attempt, you lose it behind you. He's determined not to make that mistake, and he actually underpulls. And almost always the third attempt is exactly where one wants it. So let's hope that's the case.
All right, this is, that'll bring back up Petrov of the Czech Republic, who missed his opening snatch. Very similar thing, kind of missed in the same fashion, a little bit out front. That's actually pretty uncharacteristic of him. You have to go back to 2015, and he's competed to the 2015 World Championships in Houston to find an instance where he missed an opening attempt snatch.
He still looks a bit forward.
Yeah.
The first pull is really, I tell my athletes to slow down. I mean, there really isn't much, at a certain level anyway, not much correlation between how fast you're coming from the floor and whether or not the attempt is successful. The first pull is really just about getting the bar into the wheelhouse, into your hips, so that you can set up the second pull, and he's not doing that. He's just rushing the first pull.
All right, and this will be a do-or-die situation for Jiram of Thailand. He has missed his opening 2 attempts. In order for to have a chance to post a total, he needs to make this lift.
Let's see if my theory is correct, David, and this one will be perfect. Look at that.
You know, Cheryl, it's almost like you've seen this before a couple of times. And you are entirely correct. Missed first behind, his second in front, right in the groove there on that third attempt.
That's exactly what his coach told him when he came off the stage in the second attempt. Is don't be soft. So you wanna avoid throwing the bar behind you. So you give a little less power, and then what happens is you miss it forward. But he made the correction. He got his head back together, and that's how you do it. That was a great snatch.
And in a similar position is Peter Petrov of the Czech Republic. Has missed his first 2 attempts in front of him. Needs to make this in order to post a total.
Let's see if he can wait on that first pull. Not bad. Maybe a little elbow wiggle, but I imagine that's, yeah, there you go.
3 white lines. Yeah, I might have seen, yeah, there might have been just a
bit. I mean,
tiny bit, but
yeah.
Nothing the judges were going to call that a bad lift for.
Yeah, and that one of those situations where it could have been just a little bit of shoulder movement too. So a lot better, a lot better. Never want to see anybody bomb out. Well, unless they're my direct competitor, then I really love it when that happens. But as a spectator, I always want to see somebody at least make one of their lifts, and very, very happy that he was able to lock that in.
All right, now this will bring up Terrones of Peru. It's been a bit since we've seen him, and this is another layer on the international stage that makes it difficult competing. Sometimes you have to wait quite a bit of time between attempts, depending on what other competitors are taking.
Yeah, you do. You do. You got to maintain your focus and not let it distract you.
Kind of rushed that one a little bit. Maybe tried to sneak under the barbell.
Yeah, did not finish that pull at all. And you can tell when he's receiving the bar, even on his successful attempts, he has a little bit of asymmetry there. So he probably fights that bottom position in the snatch often, especially when the weight gets really heavy. I mean, and again, these guys are 69 kilos. I mean, this is a lot of weight, so there's not a lot of room for error on a lift like this.
And folks, we are entering the last third of our snatches here at the in the men's 69 kilogram B session of the 2017 IWF World Championships. After this portion of the event, we'll take a 10-minute break and we'll come back for the clean and jerks. All right, we have the second attempt for Al-Duhalib of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Trying to recall what his first attempt looked like. It looked like maybe he wasn't quite set over that bar, hips a little high, everything went a little bit forward.
Well, we have a good side view here on this replay, so let's see if we can spot that.
Which is really helpful too, looking at a lifter head on. Well, no, I don't know. That first pull looked okay. Kind of just let the bar away from him maybe on the second pull.
Yeah, I wonder if he kind of jumped back maybe a little bit too much
right.
there.
Right.
Which is not always a bad thing. You do see some lifters jump
course.
backwards. Some of them following the natural turnover of the barbell as they turn the barbell overhead. But the thing you can't do is push yourself back when the barbell stays in that same plane. That's a recipe for a mislift.
You must take the barbell with you if you're gonna jump back. Jumping out from under the bar, and that's a very valid point, David. Now that I think about it, he looks like he sort of disengaged with the bar. It's really important to keep the shoulders over the bar. You get out from behind the bar and you kind of lose all your power, and then you're kind of just leaning into it.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
The old pull and pray.
Right, pull and pray, and he's just got to maintain his form on the way up so that he can remain engaged with the barbell.
And again, if you're just tuning in, we will be taking a short break. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lifts yet to come in this men's 69 kilogram B session. We will be coming back with the clean and jerks after a 10-minute break after our final snatch here. And this is an especially exciting session to tune into if you want some perspective on what it's like to compete on the international stage, because I am fortunately joined by 3-time Olympian and almost countless-time world's competitor, Cheryl Hayworth.
It's great to be here. This just makes me want to compete all over again. It's an honor to be able to partake in an event like this and not worry about having to participate at the end of the week.
Hey, it can be exhausting about talking about lifting weights.
You know what? We'll see. We'll see. So far, I got all the energy in the world.
All right, a little bit of a fight there, has to chase it forward, but that will be a good third attempt. So
he's able to lock it in.
Makes a correction. Great to see him come back and make that. And we only have 2 lifters left in the session.
Really interested to see Brandhuber come out, the German competitor. He's going to be coming out here shortly
and
for his first attempt.
Brandhuber is a competitor who we have seen. Now, Castro is next up, but Brandhuber is the only competitor we haven't seen who does have international competition experience dating back to 2006, so has certainly had plenty of time and experience on the international platform. All right, Castro's second attempt. Lifter out of Spain. Again, kind of seemed to rush that one a little bit.
Yeah, and again, the 3/4 view from the side, the replay, is really helpful. Sometimes it's really hard to tell exactly what went wrong from that first angle. Let's see here.
I don't think he ever really got to full extension there.
Yeah, and he might have backed away a little bit, like we were talking before, kind of disengaging with the barbell a little bit, kind of extending instead of coming vertical, coming up and back. And a lot of athletes come up and back. So that's not quite unusual, but if it's unusual for him, he just sucked all the power out of that second pull. So Maybe that's what his coach is telling him right now. Come up and not back. That's what I'd be telling him. Certainly got the strength, and sometimes you can tell when an athlete comes out and it's just too heavy, you know. This is a very high level competition, and the efficiency is rather good, so sometimes it's just a matter of it being too heavy, but that is not the case with this gentleman. He's got a lot in the tank as far as strength goes. He's just got to be mindful of his technique.
And there are a number of factors that can contribute to someone feeling off, timing, rhythm, or strength. I mean, most of these athletes have traveled a long distance to be here this week in Anaheim.
Right, and that does make a difference.
And cutting weight while traveling might be one of the most difficult things an athlete can do.
I would give my teammates who are cutting weight a very wide berth and just be just as sweet as pie to them, because I could only imagine. I really made me sad and guilty at the same time while I was eating all the snacks in the room.
Well, that way they weren't. You were doing them a favor.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I like that logic. You're welcome, everybody. Oh, man.
Similar thing with the
very similar thing. Very similar thing. But, well, he'll regroup the clean and jerk, obviously.
And with that, we have...
Very disappointed in that. You can see it in his face.
Yeah, let's check out the replay here. I think we'll probably see a similar issue.
Yeah, just got away from him a little bit. Just got away from him a little bit.
And with that, we will bring up the final lifter of the session. That will be Brandhuber of Germany. He has all 3 attempts remaining. So he will, of course, be following himself. Got to have some 2-minute clocks.
Right, which can be an advantage. Some athletes don't mind it, whereas some athletes respond really poorly, and they kind of psych themselves out a little bit. But he seems to be used to this position.
He's got quite a bit of experience.
Yeah, experienced athlete, so he's gonna utilize all his time and hopefully make 3 successful attempts here. Very easy.
Well, that's the best way to start.
Right. Great job. And like we were talking about before, that last missed lift, the snatch, it's very technical, obviously, and you can get away with a lot if you're not feeling strong for the day. But an inch here, an inch there, sometimes I'm at a loss for why an athlete has missed an attempt, just because the naked eye, it's hard to pick up on some of those things sometimes. So just an inch forward, or maybe loaded at a different part of the foot, can really make or break a snatch.
All right, well, he will be following himself. And again, folks, after this we will take a 10-minute break. We will come back with the clean and jerk portion. This is the only session today that will be live streamed on usaweightlifting.org to American viewers. Now, internationally, it gets a little complicated. There are television rights. We have a few different broadcasters participating, but American viewers can, if you're watching from the United States, can watch the sessions later today on ESPN3. Internationally, it gets like I said, it gets a little more complicated. But if you'd like a list of international broadcasters,
glad you're a smart guy, because I don't even want to get into that right now. I'll let you deal with that, David.
If you're watching internationally, both usaweightlifting.org and barbend.com, the official media partner of USA Weightlifting, have articles that list the international broadcasters and schedules, so you'll be able to figure that out and make sure that you have an opportunity to watch. Now, if you are in a territory where there is not an international broadcaster, this will still be streamed on usaweightlifting.org, but it is geo-blocked for certain territories where there are existing broadcast rights in play. So I know that sounds complicated, but head on over to usaweightlifting.org or head on over to barbend.com, and it is explained.
You could have waited for me to finish my coffee before explaining that, because I feel like my head's going to explode.
All right, and we do have a weight change, going up 4 kilos for Brandhuber of Germany. I believe he will be taking this.
He's like confident jump.
And he looks confident. He's a confident lifter. He's walking out, lats flared, he's ready to go.
He's ready to go.
That's his platform.
This is not his first rodeo, so he's ready to do what he came here for.
this is toward the heavier we've seen him lift at this body weight category. This actually might be a comp, as far as we know, a comp PR for him at this weight class.
Thinking that same thing. It looks based on his numbers. Maybe this is up there close to his PR, if not a PR. Nice. Very nice.
Well, that's how you do it.
That's how you do it.
And of course, this is the B session. However, lifters will be ranked overall between the B and A sessions. It is a pretty competitive men's A session here in the 69 kilogram category, so not unheard of to see lifters medaling or even winning out of a B group. I'm not sure we're going to see that this weight class this weekend, and one of the reasons for that is there happens to be an American in the 69 kilogram category who is pretty strong and might be looking to end that world championship drought, Cheryl, and that is CJ Cummings, who will lift in the men's 69
Yeah, talk about a competitor and somebody who has international experience. Now, these lifters who are youth lifters and junior lifters and also able to compete at the senior international level, meaning basically open against everybody, the best of the best, that gives CJ an extreme amount of high-level competitive experience. When I was competing at the junior nationals, the junior worlds, the senior nationals, the senior worlds. So if your teammates aren't also juniors, they're competing half as much as you are. So that additional international experience, being on a stage like this, is going to work to CJ's advantage, and yeah, not get flustered at all.
And something that you and CJ have in common, you are both current youth world record holders.
Yeah, I was sitting in my flat in Hong Kong eating some like takeaway sushi, and my phone started kind of going crazy, social media, you know, and I took a look and I was like, oh, I have a world record. That's cool.
And if you want to give folks a little bit of a background as to how that occurred.
Right, for sure. Let's see. Oh, you know what? Maybe I should go ahead and say that. Well, focus on this last attempt, though.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about that during the future portion. Sorry about that, folks. We just had a little bit of feedback on some of our mics. We do have multiple mics getting ambient noise, noise from the coaches and the lifters on the platform and back here. So if you hear a little bit of buzzing, stick around. It'll normally subside after a couple of seconds.
That's okay. I'm totally into the snatch right now. I lost my train of thought because I really want this guy to smash this.
Last lift of the session. After this, we'll have a 10-minute break.
He's telling himself right now that he can do this. Oh, there you go.
And oh no! Oh, you hate to see that. It looks like well.
That is a difficult thing.
Yeah.
To witness. That's unfortunate, and you see that sometimes with a lifter in celebration or this, that, and the other thing, and they just lose control of the barbell.
Yeah, and what happened there, folks, is, you know, it looked like he had overhead, was celebrating, but he ended up losing some, looked like core stability, dropped the barbell behind, and that actually is a no lift. You must release the barbell in front of you. Right.
You gotta maintain control of the barbell, and you gotta put it down in front of you when the judges give you the signal. Well, it was a good snatch, so he's got that going for him, but he's going to be beating himself up about that for a long time to come, I tell you that.
Well, folks, that is the snatch portion of the men's 69 kilogram B session here at the 2017 IWF World Championships. We're about to take a 10-minute break, but I'm David Tao of barband.com, joined by
Cheryl Hayworth of USA Weightlifting.
And thanks so much. We'll be back in about 10 minutes.